First game we're going to preview is number 1 Ohio State at unranked, underline the unranked, Washington Huskies, the Dogs. 2:30 Central Time in Seattle. Late September, the weather should be perfect. Perfect for sailgating. Unbelievable environment. If you're an Ohio State fan and you got the coin and you're thinking about making that game, go do it. One of the best places you can watch a college football game. We got Ryan Day and we got Jedd Fisch. Jedd Fisch, one of the most underrated coaches in all of college football. I studied Washington versus Washington State in the Apple Cup, in which they won that game 59-24. UW is 3-0. Ohio State is 3-0. Damon Williams is one of my favorite players in the country. Electric. Jedd Fisch had Noah Fafita at Arizona. He had Tetairoa McMillan. He's done it again. He's got Damon Williams and Denzel Boston. If you don't know, now you know. And for the Washington fans out there, this isn't disrespect. You're up there in the corner. I lived up there in the corner. The majority of the people listening to this show, geographical analysis shows, are in the Southeast. So they don't watch a lot of Big Ten, Pac-12 football. That's what we'll call it. And if you don't know who Damon Williams is, he's maybe 5'10". Maybe. But he's a dog. Damon Williams this year completing 73% of his passing attempts, 778 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 INTs. He's added 220 on the ground with 2 touchdowns as well. And when you're watching Washington, first thing that stood out, that offensive line, the transfer left tackle from Kansas State, Carver Willis, guy that I had a 5th-round grade on, I believe. Man, I like him. Ohio State on the other side, we'll talk about them in a minute. Got a lot of pass rushers. Kenyatta Jackson, Bo Atkinson, CJ Hicks, they can get after you a little bit. But this Washington offensive line, I'm a fan of. And especially the left tackle and how he can play. Schematically, I love the way that Jedd Fisch carves it up. Damon Williams is the operator. You talk about decisiveness. You talk about playing on time. You talk about ball placement for run after catch opportunities and downfield accuracy. That's Damon Williams, man. He can do it all, and he plays big. My buddy Andrew Ivins always used to tell me when we scouted Damon Williams out of Basha High School in Arizona, he'd always bring up the point. He said, do you know Damon Williams is undefeated against Dylan Raiola? Those things mean something in terms of how they translate. Not from a Sunday projection standpoint, but this guy is a baller and he is a winner. And this is year 2 of Jedd Fisch, man. So let's get into it. Offensively, for Washington, can you be multidimensional? And what I mean by that is, can you get the ground game going against a very physical front 7 of Ohio State who's playing their ass off on the defensive line? You're going to have to go up against Caden McDonald, Malone, Edric Houston, Arvell Reese, freaking stud, Sonny Styles. And what can you throw at these guys? I love Denzel Boston. That's your big X. Who's your next guy? That's a question that I'm asking if I'm Washington offensively. Jonah Coleman in the run game. Adam Muhammad, spellback, change of pace, goal line guy. I love what Washington is doing offensively. I expect them to be some wrinkles. I expect them to come out with some fireworks. I expect this to be a game where you're going from the Central or Eastern time zone. Apologies, I don't know which one Columbus is. To the West Coast, and it's a little bit different. It's always a little bit different. It takes time to settle in. And that environment is sneaky. I expect there to be a little shell shock. And I expect Damon Williams to come out swinging offensively. Now, Ohio State defensively, let me just say this. For those of us who did not watch the game against Texas, and you can turn on the game against Ohio last week, this is the most talented unit in the country, in my opinion. And the most cohesive. And arguably the most well-coached. Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator, under Bill Belichick. These guys play fast. They play aggressive. They hunt the quarterback. The multi-dimensional ability at the second level is insane with Reese and Styles. And then you have Caleb Downs, arguably the best football player in college football, just anchoring the back end. With a lot of young guys, man. Got to give a shout out to Jalen McClain. Playing his ass off. And if there's one guy I would go after if I'm Washington, it's Lorenzo Styles at the nickel spot. That's what would have showed up. Let's flip the script. Julian saying Ohio State offense. Julian saying ball control, efficient, don't get crazy, completing almost 80% of his passes. And keep it simple, stupid, right? For Ryan Day, Brian Hartline. When you have Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Max Clare, and that veteran group of offensive linemen, keep it simple, stupid. And Julian's saying, outside of a couple one-off decisions here and there, has been very clean. And I love him in the play action. Ball's out quick. He trusts it. And when things get a little fuzzy, go find 4 or 17. And let me just get bailed out. The deep ball, explosive. Touch, accuracy, great. Here's the thing. If I'm Washington, I'm trying to move him off his spot. I'm trying to show him some things that this young quarterback has not seen. But UW's got to do a lot better job when it comes to limiting vertical explosive plays. If you look at Washington State last week, they got after it a little bit. They gave up 5 explosives in the passing game. That means they gave up 5 plays over 20-plus yards or more. You cannot do that against Ohio State. But it's pick your poison. Sicario Davis out last week. Is he back this week? One of the top transfers in the portal at the corner position. That would make sense to go one-on-one with Jeremiah Smith. Would never advise that, but you get my point. Ephesians Prysock. Really interesting long corner, has experience. Here's where I think the game gets tough for UW. The athletic profile, size profile of this team in the trenches and on the perimeter is just completely different than what Washington will see the entire year. Maybe they'll see it again with Oregon, but it will not be the same. And up front, Washington's got a bunch of guys that play really hard, but from a speed, athleticism standpoint and just size advantage, Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country. This is the team from top to bottom that has been beautifully pieced together by Mark Pantoni. Ohio State and Oregon have the best top-end talent, and they have the best depth. And it's no secret that they probably invest more than any other teams in the country. This line right here, I should have said it earlier, 10.5. Ohio State. I'm taking Ohio State to cover. I think this game's going to have fireworks in the first half. I think it's going to take a little time for the Buckeyes to settle in. I think midway through the third, you'll start to see things kind of even out for what they are. But if you're a Washington fan listening to this, like, don't get down. This is a team in year 2 that's ahead of the curve. And Jed Fish is a very good coach. And the thing about good coaches, there's not a lot of them. Who knows? Maybe teams like Florida are looking for one. Jed Fish has an appetite. I know he just signed a big deal, but keep that in your back pocket. Last thing I'll say. If you're Jed Fish, it's very hard to go against that talented of a front seven and a back end. Use Ohio State's speed, athleticism, and aggressiveness against them. I think that's where the legs of Damon Williams come in.